We are Ole Miss Rebels. As Mississippi's flagship university, we dig deeper, see farther, work harder. We pioneered human organ transplants. We helped prove Einstein's theory of gravitational waves. We are conducting life-changing research that solves the problems of today. We are Ole Miss, transforming lives and the world.
Welcome to the POMcast with Stephen Willis. Now we're going to do things a little different. We are going to provide an honest look at Ole Miss athletics for the fan, by the fan, and of the fan. That is what we do. Hell be to me. I'm just kidding. Tune in for some Ole Miss sports news. We're going to give it to you straight. Yeah, right now. The POMcast starts now. It happens now. Holy cow. Listen to me. It's starting. Well, it's going to start right about now. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the POMcast on this beautiful Friday morning from the palatial Central Florida studios. I am your host, Stephen Willis, and we are kind of going to get right in it today. We're going to briefly tell you about the Vault Society. And what is the Vault Society? It is a major push from the Ole Miss Athletics Foundation. It's a 5-year commitment of support, and membership starts at $5,000 a year, and there's a benefit chart on the site. All gifts between now and June 30th will receive triple points. Red points are non-deductible and go towards priority seating. Blue points are 90% tax deductible and go towards parking and non-home ticketed games. That's postseason, bowl games, neutral site. We got one coming up in about 108 days that fit that criteria nicely. If you have any questions about it, you can go to give2athletics.com. Again, that is give2athletics.com. For our information, look over to the side of the site over here, and that'll tell you where you can find the show. Today we just have a jam-packed show. We're going to talk a little bit about the success of Doug Day, the last regular season Doug Day of his career. A 2-0 win over Georgia last night that pretty much locked up a regional host for Ole Miss. They clinched 17th win of the season. We're going to talk about softball beginning their regional today, taking on Villanova on ESPNU at 5 o'clock Eastern. I believe that's 4 Central. You can check them out. We got press conference highlights of everything. Jamie Traxel and a couple players coming in and talking about that. And in the second part, we're going to begin our conference football previews. You're thinking like, this is the end of May. Why are you doing this? Well, my goal is I want to do one of these a week of all the teams, and we're going to start with the teams that we're not playing. So we're going to do the Georgia preview today. We'll do like Kentucky or Missouri next week. And then once we get going and it gets closer, we'll be previewing as necessary. So Corey Burton was nice enough to stop by for that. Anyway, we can get started right now. Big win last night. It was 2-0. And honestly, it felt secure the whole time. I know Georgia was one swing of the bat from evening it up, but you just didn't feel like they were going to get that swing. And Doug was fantastic. A career high in strikeouts, 2-0 win for the Rebs. And a game that when we went into this, if Ole Miss could just take one, they would be in good shape. Now, if you think back a couple of weeks ago, when Chad Smith was doing his preview, he put the total at 4 games needed. But I think he was counting the midweek game against UT Martin just as a win. But at the end of the day, it's kind of I don't want to say meaningless game, but it didn't really affect the hosting outcome. I mean, it's more for confidence and for W's and honestly a chance to get to 40. There's no chance for Ole Miss to get to 40 in the regular season after losing that game. But it's a big win by the boys. And we start off today, I think, 6 o'clock, start again today. Derek Diamond throwing against lefty for them. I forget his name. Sorry, I'm terrible with names. I've been that way ever since the brain surgery. So apologize about that. It's kind of a side effect of that. But Derek Diamond coming through. We talked about how he was on Talk of Champions a while back, and they mentioned a potential pressing forward to him because one time through the lineup, he's really, really good. So we'll see if they do that or if it's like an opener type situation. We'll see how that looks tonight. And softball moving on. They play tonight at I think 5 Eastern, 4 Central on ESPNU against Villanova. Villanova is kind of a long ball hitting team, as are several teams in the SEC. I mean, you're dealing with that on a consistent basis. Ole Miss was a couple years past from heading out to Tucson for a super regional, so they have experience with that. They said that, the ground's a little bit harder, and the air's a little bit thinner, so the ball travels a little bit better. So you have to be careful about that. But that works two ways. Warning track power in the South out there might get over the fence. That's the point of that. So we're going to talk about the series when we come back. We'll get into it a little bit. But here is the press conference highlights.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, part of our preseason was that we were just kind of starting out together, I think, as a staff and as a team. So week one for us, regardless of where we played, looks nothing like, our progress that we've made throughout the season. And so spending the first, handful of weekends on the road, I think that was part of it. And a lot of times, I think we had 5 or 6 one-run losses in conference on the road as well. And so, we feel very comfortable transitioning. Obviously there's something about playing at home and being comfortable with the field and sleeping in your own bed and being in your routine. But having gone to Alabama the last couple of weekends, not been at home playing games, being in a playoff atmosphere at Alabama in the SEC tournament has prepared us to come in here, to a great atmosphere that we're going to have this entire weekend. And we're a little bit comfortable and familiar with the field because Ole Miss was in Super Regionals in 2019 here. And experiencing that. And then when I was at Minnesota, we were here in 1918. I've been in postseason here too. So it was nice to get out here. We came out here yesterday to just practice in the air and get out in this different heat and be in a field that's a little bit comparable. But it's definitely it's transitioning, but it's postseason play. Anything can happen. And in order to advance your season, you're going to have to be able to win on the road at some point. We look forward to the challenge. Yeah, coming from our competition that we've played, we've always been up against 3 or 4 hitters that are double digit in home runs in our conference. So we feel comfortable having faced the hitters of that magnitude. The goal is always to keep the ball in the park so we can defend it. That's not going to change, but that's also been consistent language that we've used throughout the entire year, especially in conference. Riker and the pitcher spend a ton of time game planning. They go over it. They have a plan for everyone. They know what we're going to attack. So does the defense. And so we're going to keep it a game of execution with the pre-information that we do have on Villanova and go out there and try to execute the pitches and defend our pitcher.
I am nervous, but it's more of like good nerves. I have like adrenaline and excitement that I can play here, especially with my team that I've created such a great bond with. And I think that them having my back kind of calms my nerves, but definitely I'm excited. From when I played back then, I just remember how the infield's a little harder than what we're used to because our infield is a little more soft. And like the only information I told them was just that the infield's a little harder than usual and it's going to be hot, so drink water. Yeah, the home run came in a big moment for my team, so it was something I was really excited to provide for us. Yeah, the ball does fly off the bat here. It's a little bit drier air. We're used to the humid South, so our balls don't really pop like it does here, but, we're excited and ready for it. Yeah, Blaze has grown up so much, just watching her grow within the season. She's no longer a freshman. She doesn't carry herself as a freshman at the plate. Or on defense, it's super important for her. She's a leader on her team, and just watching her grow throughout the season has been awesome. She's the future of Ole Miss softball, so it's exciting.
Yes, she is. Big game coming off the bat. They talk about long ball hitters for Villanova. They talk about thinner air out west, drier air. The ball travels a little bit better. So that's something to keep an eye on. Hopefully the Rebels can come out of game 1 and get to the matchup with Arizona tomorrow. And we'll see how that goes. Again, that is first pitch I think 4 o'clock Central tonight, 5 o'clock Eastern on ESPNU. And then after that, I mean, most of those games last about 2 hours. You can flip over on SEC Network Plus at 6, 7 Eastern to the Ole Miss Georgia game and see Derek Diamond and the boys go for a series victory against the Georgia Bulldogs. And coming up after the break, we have a preview of Georgia football. I mean, we don't play Georgia. I understand that. But this will be something you can do. I want to do all 14 teams and see what's up. So we have Corey Burton coming by to talk about that. And this is going to be a relatively quick show. We cut out the spiel at the beginning. But I'm curious about that. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to get into Georgia and start talking football, and I'll give you an idea of what my mindset is at the moment and where we can go from here as a show. So, because we broke a record this month. This is our most listened to month of our podcast in POMcast history, and it's May 21st. So we still have 10 days to go and all the SEC tournament and all that, and we appreciate that. So thank you very much. I'm absolutely humbled by you guys listening, and basically I don't view anything. I don't have competition anywhere. Nothing looks like me. Nothing wants to do what I'm doing. So there's not really any competition. So you can be nice to everybody. You can treat everybody with respect and do whatever you need to do. I do believe that content should be free. I've been on the other side of that. I was on the other side of that for close to a decade. But I don't really see any competition out there. That's interesting. But we're growing at a super rate. Thank you very much for that. I'm extremely humbled. And when we come back, we will get into football, the Georgia Bulldogs, right here on the POMcast.
Only 10% of us get enough daily exercise.
And that number is dropping.
Nearly 30% of us are overweight or obese.
We spend 6 hours a day in front of a screen.
As a result, we now have a shorter life expectancy than our parents.
But give us the right start in sports, and we'll never stop.
Learn how at active4life.ca.
Hey, this is Stephen Willis from Positively Ole Miss. We're almost done with this break. We'll be back with good information quite soon.
The military has been in every generation of my family, and so has VA. It wasn't easy for my dad after Vietnam, but VA helped him and my mom get the home they'd always wanted. My grandpa's been coming to VA since World War II. They even helped him lay to rest one of his battle buddies from Normandy. And me, I followed in their footsteps and served with pride. And now that I'm out of the military, the GI Bill's helping me with school. Every generation of my family has served, and VA has served us all.
All right, welcome back to the POMcast. Kind of going to do a little football at the moment. We're going to do a Georgia football preview. I know Ole Miss does not play Georgia. I mean, that's not a big deal. But I want to do a preview of all 14 teams so you're a little bit educated and you know what's coming up. Hopefully, after this is over, there'll be time to give you back. But Corey Burton came by to talk about the Georgia Dogs. And my number one concern, as I think it will come across in the questioning to Corey, is will Kirby Smart take his hands off the defense and be okay with giving up 24 points as opposed to giving 14? He wants that stifling, suffocating defense that really, in this era of football, is just not possible. Is he going to be okay with that happening? That was my big question going into this. But without further ado, we'll get into this. When this is over, we'll go put the Willis Digital Media thing up and do the hottie toddy. But thank you very much for listening, and have a great weekend. Enjoy the games. POMcast. I'm here with Corey Burton. We're going to talk a little Georgia football today. What we're going to do is, until the football season starts, we're going to do previews of every team, and Georgia's up first because they're not on Ole Miss's schedule, and I'm kind of curious to what JT Daniels and Kirby Smart's going to do. I've ridden this Kirby Smart train for over a year, Corey.
Yes,
but
stay on it. Don't get off.
Yeah. Is this the year that there's going to be a change?
Yes, there's going to be a change. I think that you're finally going to see this Georgia team break through. I know that's a popular sentiment, but I think it's true. I think the receiving corps is as best as it's ever been under Kirby Smart. I think you have a 5-deep running back core, which is the most depth that he's ever had at that position. Quality depth, I should say. Defensively, I think even though they've lost a bunch of secondary people, I think up front this is one of the best teams that he's had, led by Jordan Davis, Adam Anderson, and then you have a whole host of linebackers that are going to play crucial parts throughout the course of the season.
Yeah, I'm just really looking forward. I know that Kirby is kind of allergic to tempo. I know he's trying to stick his toe in tempo.
Mm-hmm. It gives him hives.
Yeah.
And I think this year he takes the Zyrtec. This preview brought to you by Zyrtec. I think he takes the allergy medicine, and I think he gets more immune to tempo, and I think you'll see a little bit more. I think you probably won't be like 3 plays in 20 seconds type tempo, but you'll see a little bit more than what we have been doing.
Yeah, hopefully he'll be okay with giving up 24 points instead of demanding giving up 10 or 14.
Well, he's going to have to be because his secondary is young, and they start off the year with Clemson, so there's going to be some points in that game. He's going to have to wrap his head around that, but there's going to be some points in that game.
No, that's maybe an accidental good thing for Georgia with Clemson. It might get him used to it. If the offense can come out and perform and Georgia can get a win, maybe it's 38-27. Maybe he's like, okay, this can work. Because this similar type situation happened with LSU. The Joe Brady experience with Joe Burrow and everything, that was kind of an accident. And it kind of snuck up on people after September.
It did. It really did. And you saw that with LSU at 19. You saw Sarkisian and Alabama follow suit. And now you're going to probably see Georgia follow suit, right? They're going to sling the ball around a little bit, a little bit more. They're not going to – they're going to throw it 50, 60 times a game. But they're going to throw it 35, and they're going to get the backs more involved. I think you're going to see a huge year out of James Cook in more ways than just running the ball. So I'm excited with what this offense has. I think they can hurt you in a lot of different ways, which is something I haven't been able to say in years past, at least since Kirby's been here. We've been a lot more predictable in years past, and in 2017 we were just scary good with what we could do, and we just mash you up front. We're not going to have that ability this year. We lose Ben Cleveland, which is a huge loss, literally and figuratively, in the offensive line. In the run game, you lose your center, which is big, Trey Hill. Yes, you do lose your center. You're going to have you're going to have some changes up front for sure. And then, you get Jamari Sawyer back, who he was debating on early enrolling, or not early enrolling, but leaving early into the NFL draft. He probably bumps down to guard, which is going to be the fit for him in the NFL. You have superstar Marius Mims, who's probably going to get some playing time this year. He's going to be a rotational guy at the tackle spot. I think you're going to see Broderick Jones as one of your lead tackles. I think you're going to see a lot of shifting in that offensive line. And what Ole Miss fans don't realize, what they had in Matt Luke, he's a great developer, right? He's a great in getting those guys to play hard. I don't know that he fit very well in the head coach's seat. I just don't think he was ready for that. I think he will be. I think he'll be a pretty good head coach in his next stint, wherever that is. But, he's been tremendous for this Georgia offensive line and developing what they have. The recruiting has not fallen off since Sam Pittman left, which is a good thing. I love Sam Pittman. But, the recruiting has not fallen off at that position, and it's been great. There's been some great battles within that offensive line. So I'm excited. I think Kirby finds the answer.
Yeah, And Matt Luke recruiting, I can't prove this one way or another and everything, but I think Matt Luke had his hands on the Adonis Mitchell flip from Ole Miss to Georgia.
I guarantee you did. Yeah, I guarantee you did.
And he actually just really showed out during the Georgia spring game and might be a weapon in the future.
Absolutely. He could be the guy that makes Georgia fans not lament losing George Pickens so bad. You know, I think he's going to ease the burn of that, and I think he's going to be a guy. He's really good with the ball in the air. I know when we talked before, he's still extremely raw with his route running, and that's going to have to he's going to have to continue to develop at that. But when that ball's in the air, there's not a whole lot of people right now in his class that are as good as playing the ball in the air. And I think he's good with his body control. You saw a catch that he had in the spring game where it was a low back shoulder throw, and he had to shift his body around. I've never really seen a freshman do that. You know, a standard freshman. I mean, of course, there's those freshmen that can take over the world, but you know, he's going to be a special player, I think, for Georgia in the future, and even in the immediate future.
Yeah, and if you want to go back and look at him, just out of curiosity, he's on our YouTube channel, believe it or not. Corey breaking down what he can do, and all the
I didn't know I was going to be breaking him down for Georgia, but
yeah,
apparently I was.
He was an Ole Miss commit. Yeah, excellent player. Talk about the defensive side of the ball a little bit.
Okay, where do I start? Start on the defensive line. That's going to be the strength of this team. You have Jordan Davis. Devontae Wyatt played extremely well in the spring game. He showed out a little bit to add a little depth there. You're going to have Malik Herring, Trevon Walker. Actually, Malik Herring's gone. But you're going to have Trevon Walker. You're going to have Devontae Wyatt, Zion Logue. You're going to have a lot of guys that come in and do a lot of good things on the defensive line. Jalen Carter also is one guy that they're going to be able to move around. He's a more athletic, big guy. He's right now, I think, the number 2 nose, but I think he can play all 3 spots on that defensive line. So they're going to be able to do a lot of good stuff. Jordan Davis is going to take up 2 gaps, and he's athletic enough. Not many teams are going to be able to run on the interior of this defensive line, so that's going to free up the linebackers. The guy that I'm most excited about on this entire defense is Adam Anderson. He is the next Lorenzo Carter. He's the next that type of person. Leonard Floyd type body that can do a lot of different things. He plays really well in space. He can get after the passer. He can be a force in the run game. He can play in space really well in the passing game, in the zone passing game. It's going to be fun to watch him play because they're going to ask him. He's going to blitz from depth. He's going to twist and blitz from the interior. He's going to get some sacks. He's going to be an absolute force out there on the defensive side of the ball.
Okay. In the kicking game, we have somebody. Have y'all replaced Hot Rod yet? What's going on there?
Yeah, we replaced him with Hot Pod.
Hot Pod?
Jake Podleski. Podleski, I think. I butcher his name every time. If you listen to the intro of the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast, you hear the radio call, the Scott Howard call of the game-winning kick against Cincinnati. He calls him Hot Pod instead of Hot Rod. So he's good. He's gonna be good. I think he made some really big field goals for Georgia last season, most notably the Peach Bowl, where they had to really fight to win and beat Cincinnati. But he made that kick at the end of the game. It was a pretty sizable kick too. I think it was a 52-yarder or something like that. He's got some range, so we'll be fine there. Jake Camarda comes back as the punter. He has the ability to flip the field and not give up so many returns. He has a lot of hang time on his punts, so I think we're going to be good in special teams.
All right. Now, if we look at the schedule laid out for Georgia, what are you expecting from this season? Just a blind May prediction. What are we looking at?
Clemson's going to be tough, obviously. I think it's going to be weird getting Auburn in October and Tennessee in November. That's going to be a weird shift. But I'm glad Auburn's coming earlier. Tennessee, it doesn't matter where they fall this year. If you listen to our Around the SEC segment that you and I just did, Tennessee's going to be rough. So it doesn't matter where they fall. This Auburn team, you don't want to catch them late. Catch them early while they're trying to still figure some stuff out with Bo Nix. But, the Florida game's always going to be tough. But otherwise, the schedule is easy. We avoid Alabama, we avoid LSU. We avoid A&M from the West. So the schedule lays out really well.
Who are your Western Division teams this year?
Well, Auburn's the permanent crossover, and do believe we get Arkansas again.
Really? Back-to-back years?
Yeah, we were supposed to get them.
Okay. Oh, so it actually came up, and that was the added game last year.
Yeah, and then it came up as the added game too. So yeah, we'll play them back to back.
Yeah, they have a chance to be much improved, and the game could look tougher than it needs to look, but not because of the reasons it looked so close last year.
Right. I mean, I think the reason it looked so close is we couldn't figure out the quarterback situation for the first part. You know, like Stetson Bennett was awful. He was slightly less than awful. He had a decent second half, but DeJuan Mathis was terrible to start the year off, and he's going to start the season in Philly at Temple. So it tells you where he kind of ended up. But yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit different. I think it's going to be, you have that Clemson game to kind of really get you going, and then your non-conference games are pretty simple after that. So you get, but yeah, you get your Vanderbilt, South Carolinas who are down. Kentucky's going to be, I don't know what to expect out of Kentucky. We'll really get a deep dive preview of them.
POMcast. I'm here with Corey Burton. We're going to talk a little Georgia football today. What we're going to do